Hi, this is Maggie. In this video we're going to talk about adding sound and music to a game. Sounds add another element of realism to your game, helping to immerse the player in the world you're building, and music can set a mood. In Pygame, you can play one streaming background sound and 8 non-streaming sounds. As with other game assets, there are sounds that are available for you to use on the internet. They have different licensing agreements, so if you want to use a sound, check the licensing agreement before using it and make sure you follow it. It is the artist's right to decide how their work will be used. If you want to avoid these troubles, you can create and edit sounds yourself using software such as Audacity. Pygame can play sounds that are in the WAV uncompressed format or the OGG format. The OGG format is non-proprietary, so this is a good choice. Audacity can save sounds in the OGG format. Listings 10.15 and 10.16 use sounds that I created with Audacity. One sound is called hop.ogg and the other is called splashing.ogg. I have never had a problem using sound with Pygame, but the mixer module, which plays sound, is not guaranteed to be included with a Pygame installation. So you must check to see that it's included before using it. Don't communicate information in your game only through sound, just in case the user isn't able to play or hear your sounds, and write your game so that it always checks if the mixer is available before using sound. When you invoke pygame.init, that will initialize the mixer. However, you can separately initialize the mixer if you find that you need to change the settings for your game. You can read about the mixer in the Pygame documentation. Let's look at listing 10.15. This program creates a simple sound and allows the user to interact with it through key presses. So you can see that it creates a window with a blue background, and then it loads in the sound hop.ogg from the same directory as the program, and that sound is referenced with the variable called hop. The variable hop is a Pygame sound object. Notice that before we do that, we write if pygame.mixer, and we only create the sound in that conditional. So if the mixer is not a part of the Pygame installation, we won't be creating the sound. Now let's look at the event loop. If the user presses the spacebar, we send the play message to the hop sound object. Again, we check if Pygame mixer before talking to the sound, because if the mixer wasn't installed, then the sound object wasn't created. We will get an error if we try to send a message to an object that was never created. Hop.play will play the sound in the next available channel. The program also prints the number of channels in which the sound is currently playing. If we press the spacebar quickly, we can get the sound to play in more than one channel at a time. Let's run the game and try that. If I press very quickly, we can get it to play in 3 channels at once, but it's a short sound, so it's difficult to hear. Again, we can play sounds in up to 8 channels at once. Now, we can send messages to the sound object that affect how it's currently playing in all channels and how it will play in the future. So looking back at the code, you can see that the up and down arrow keys increase and decrease the volume of the sound. A sound's volume ranges from 0 to 1, with 1 as the default. So the up arrow key won't have any impact to start. But if we decrease the volume and play the sound, we can then increase the volume and perhaps you can hear the difference. Finally, we can fade out the sound, which will cause it to gradually fade out, and we can stop the sound. You might want to abruptly stop a sound if the object causing the sound is no longer in the game, or if it stops making a sound in the game, such as if it is turned off, and you might want to fade it out if it's receding from view or moving away. We'll listen to how those messages work in listing 10.16 because it's difficult to hear with this brief hop sound. Here's listing 10.16, and it is basically the same, except we use pygame.mixer.music.load to load the sound. This sound is called splashing.og. We then send the music object the play message with a parameter of -1, which means to play continuously. This parameter is the number of loops to play, so if you want to play the music a specific number of times, you can pass that number in as the parameter. Notice that we're not creating a music object as we did with the sound. We are interacting with pygame.mixer.music, which can play only one sound at a time. Down in the event handling, we send the stop message, the get volume and set volume messages, and the pause, unpause, and fade out messages all directly to pygame.mixer.music, and they will all impact whatever music or streaming sound is being played. In our case, this is a splashing sound I recorded and not actual music. I think you can imagine how stop works, and the volume works the same as for a sound, but let's look at pause, unpause, and fade out. If I press the right arrow key, the sound pauses, and the left arrow key will unpause the sound. If I press an F, the sound will gradually fade out. That took a long time because the argument being passed in is in milliseconds, and I passed in 4,000, or 4 seconds. And that's really it to sounds and music as far as playing them in Pygame. There are a few other commands that you can research in the Pygame documentation, and you may find you need to change some of the settings to get your sounds to play the way you want. You can have a continuous sound playing throughout a level with up to 8 individual sounds related to actions in the game at any given time. To practice with this, add a streaming sound to the background of one of your games, and give an action in your game, such as a collision or motion, a sound. Have fun with it.